But with that, let's also talk about all of, the cues that you should track before we get into this trading session. We have Vivek and Surbi joining us with the trade setup right now. Guys, a very good morning to both of you. Vivek, coming to you, the handover that we were just going through looks quite terrible.
Well, you're absolutely right. Going into the last day of the week, even yesterday's trading session, expiry day. But despite that last hour sell-off, we also are seeing very subdued cues from overnight indices as well. U.S. markets, worst day for the Dow Jones since March 2023. All eyes on what Fed Chair Powell has to say at the Jackson Hole Symposium today. When you're talking about crude oil prices too, ended with minor cuts. Brent futures down, flattish but down 0.2% at the $833 a barrel markup. Indian markets yesterday, if we discuss that, clearly selling pressure witnessed. We opened gap up, first half of the session we were actually in the green, but post that significant selling pressure. And yesterday, financials that so far were doing quite well. Yesterday, both the Nifty as well as the Nifty Bank slipped over 1% from the intraday highs. However, broader end of the markets, the momentum sustained, fresh record highs. And in yesterday's trading session, clearly, the story of the day was the number of block deals that happened. You saw big block deals happening in Coforge. You saw block deals happening in Max Financial, Manappuram. And even today, that trend is set to continue, with sources indicating that Amber Enterprises too is likely to see a large block deal. Primary market activity continues to be quite hectic, with subscription numbers quite strong as well. Aeroflex Industries, end of day 3, oversubscribed 97 times. And the new IPO that opened yesterday, Vishnu Prakash, that too is oversubscribed 3.77. Like you mentioned, Asian markets as well as Gift Nifty indicating a gap down start for our own markets.
Okay, big gap down start. Let's see how things move from there. Vivek, thanks a lot for getting us all of those cues. Let's also talk about the stocks that we should watch in today's trading session. And Surbi is here with that entire list. Surbi.
Thanks so much for that. So defense stocks will be in focus today because the Defense Acquisition Council has approved proposals worth 7,800 crores. Paytm will also be on our radar. Sources say that Anfin is going to offer 2.3 crore shares via block deals at 880 rupees per share. Amber Enterprises, like Vivek indicated, Ascent Investment Holdings is going to sell 4% stake in the company via a block deal. This is according to sources. Vedanta, the company has received an arbitration award upholding company's contention in the Rajasthan block case. Keynes Technology, the company has signed an MOU with Karnataka government for a project worth 3750 crores. Shoppers Stop, Venugopal Nair resigns as the company's CEO and MD, and the company appoints Kavindra Mishra as its executive director and CEO. And lastly, Astra Microwave will also be on our radar. The company receives orders worth 158 crores from the DRDO and ISRO.
All right, Surbi, thanks a lot for bringing us that entire list of stocks. Finally, let's also talk about what's going on with the futures and options space. Nigel is here with that. Nigel, we saw the market end of the day's low yesterday. At least the frontline index. Take us through what we should watch today.
Well, morning, Pavitra. Part of that yesterday's decline could have to do with the fact that we had weekly expiry as well that played out. But today is going to be a bit of a challenge for the scalpers. The scalpers are those that buy at lower levels and they look to square off their position intraday. So let's see how that goes. Because yesterday things looked up. Till we reached, breached a 20 DMA odd, we thought we were moving towards 19,600 odd, but we couldn't sustain over the 19,550 odd mark. The Nifty Bank, it hit that congestion zone, 44,700, 44,800 odd. What did the FIs do yesterday? Well, in trade, they unwound some long positions and they added some mild shorts, but they continue to remain net short with the total positioning on the index futures on the short side is close to around 56% odd. The PCR is trending lower. Just a couple of sessions ago, it was at around 1.1 odd. Now it's moving towards the lower end of the band. Normally, we have seen when the PCR moves to around 0.7 odd, we see a bit of a relief rally on the Nifty. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that mark. That's one of the indicators for you today. Why did the PCR move so much lower? Because call writing came back. Yeah, the 19,500 call that was fairly active in trade yesterday. And on the downside, the 19,400 put was active. Now, since the premium's around 100 rupees, I want to see what happens out there. Given that we're likely to see a bit of a gap down, we'll have to see whether or not there is some unwinding at that particular strike. Which brings us to the levels. The 20 DMA, that'll be the near-term resistance. The recent low, that'll be a bit of a support zone. And on the Nifty Bank as well, you have the 20 DMA, that's a resistance zone. We visited that mark, by the way, yesterday. And on the downside, you're counting on that 43,900, 44,000 odd mark holding out. The Gift Nifty suggesting a 100-point downtick. If you want to risk it, then maybe in fact you go ahead and you try to buy the dip with the stop loss around 19,250, because the buying the dip in the past, irrespective of the cues, has made you some money. But I think you need to square off that position as well intraday if you do get the bit of a bounce, given the big cue that we'll get later this evening where the Fed chairman speaks. Back to you.
All right, Nigel, thanks a lot for bringing us all of those cues. That is all of, the domestic cues that you need to watch for in today's trading session, as well as some of the stocks that you should have on your radar. With that, we're going to get into a short break, but when we come back, the MPC minutes show that members are prepared to look through the first round of food inflation. We're going to bring you all of the details on the other side.